We'll begin in the nation's capital, where the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, has nullified the election of Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP as governor of Plateau State. The appellate court has ordered that INEC recognize Nentawe Goshwe of the APC as a validly elected governor of Plateau State in the 18th of March governorship election. Justice Freda Dawodu, who led a 3-member panel while delivering the lead judgment, cited Section 177 of the Constitution, noting that Mr. Mutfwang was not a validly sponsored candidate by the PDP during the election. The panel held that the party violated the court order that a valid congress be conducted in the 17 local government areas of the state by conducting congress in only 5 local government areas of Plateau State, and as such is a nullity. The court, while dismissing the decision of the Plateau State Tribunal, held that the issue of qualification is both a pre-election and a post-election matter, contrary to the findings of the tribunal, which held that the appellant lacked the locus to contest the validity of the respondent. The court also noted that under Section 134 of the Electoral Act, it is the sole right of a political party to sponsor its candidate, having met the necessary requirements to do so. While evoking Section 136 of the Electoral Act, the court ordered INEC to retrieve the certificate of return issued to Governor Mutfwang and issue a fresh certificate of return to Mr. Goshwe. The All Progressives Congress in Plateau State has called on all its members to celebrate the victory of Dr. Nentawe Yilwatda at the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division. The appeal court had, in a unanimous judgment this afternoon, nullified the election of the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, mainly over the PDP's lack of structure and non-adherence of court orders. The chairman of the APC in Plateau State, Rufus Bature, who was highly elated by the appeal court's ruling in favor of its party's candidate, Mr. Goshwe, appealed to members and supporters to remain calm and refrain from any provocative acts that would affect the peace and tranquility of the state. According to the party chairman, though the APC has emerged victorious after a lot of patience and respect for the sanctity of the court, where it's painstakingly appealed against the ruling, the AP is also appealing to the PDP to call on its supporters to accept their loss in good faith and avoid embarking on anything that will lead to the breach of peace in the state. For further perspective of the court verdict on Plateau governorship election, I'm being joined on the news today by TVC News senior political correspondent Ayodele Ozubakun. He's here with me in the studio. We have Celestine Aria joining me from Abuja, and Funam Joshua is standing by in Plateau State. Let's begin from you, Ayo. First, it was federal lawmakers from Plateau State. Now the governor has been affected. What's going on?
Plateau State is a peculiar case when you look at out of the State House of Assembly that the court might have upturned. I think the last count, 16 members of the State House of Assembly, they've had their election upturned. So it's a peculiar case. By most of them, the beneficiaries of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress went to court, and 16 so far. From the House of Representatives, so far, I think are like 7. So it's something that is a state to be watched closely, but it's not over until it's over. This will still get to the Supreme Court, and we have a 60-day window for the appellants to actually file their cases, and the Supreme Court will have the ultimate say. The ground in which this, in the Court of Appeal, is citing that the Congress, they didn't hold Congress out of the 17 local governments that they held Congress. Congress was held in just 5 local governments. That Governor Manasseh Mutfwang was not validly nominated. But don't forget, on the contrary, the Supreme Court will say that, look, the only person, according to the presidential verdict, judgment, yes, the only person that can actually challenge your nomination is somebody within your political party that has affected directly. That's the Supreme Court verdict. So I don't know what they are going to do about this, that the APC candidates saying that the PDP candidate was not validly nominated by his party. So the Supreme Court told us from the locus classicus we have on ground is that you have to be affected and you have to be a member of that political party. So it's neither here nor there. So the next 60 days, we still expect the people, it's not yet Uhuru for the All Progressive Congress. So the People's Democratic Party, they say would still have their day in court at the Supreme Court.
Well, let's bring in Celestina, who has been monitoring proceedings from the law court. Celestina, Zamfara inconclusive, Kano from ANNPP to the APC, but of course those are also being appealed. Talk to us about what is emanating from the law court regarding the last elections.
Well, about the day, I quite agree with Ayo on what he said, that it's only an aspirant that can challenge the conduct of a party primaries. And although the PDP in their defense has said that it is an internal party affairs, that the APC had no right to challenge the conduct of the primary or the Congress. But one thing is clear, the PDP are in contempt of court. There was a valid, or there is a valid order of the High Court in Plateau State for them to conduct Congress in 17 local government, but they did in just 5. So which means that they did not obey the court order, or did they go ahead to appeal that order given by the court? It was a question of qualification, but the PDP was saying it's sponsorship. The court invoked Section 177 and Section 285, saying that it is both a pre-election matter and a post-election matter. And we know rightly this has affected the election of the PDP from the National Assembly, and it also affects the State House of Assembly. And the ripple effect of this is, if the governor maybe gets to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court decides in favor, we don't want to preempt the court. But that's National Assembly elections and the State Assembly elections that stop at the Court of Appeal is done. Those people are done for it because they don't have an opportunity to go to the Supreme Court to appeal. So the Supreme Court has 60 days to decide on the issues. The governor still remains the governor. They can't be vacuum. So till he appeals, and if he chooses to appeal or not, that is his on him. But so far so good, as the Court of Appeal today said that the PDP did not conduct a valid Congress, and the governor was not duly elected by the PDP. This is a case similar to that of Zamfara State. We saw what happened in Zamfara State in 2019 when that of the PDP was all candidates of the PDP, those that have won various states were removed and replaced with that of the APC. So this is just mostly similar to that of the Zamfara State's election.
Ayo, you mentioned earlier that the case of Plateau is actually peculiar. What now is the impact of this judgment from the Court of Appeal?
Not the impact of the judgment. If you remember that election in 2023, the governorship election in Plateau State was keenly contested, and Governor Manasseh Mutfwang of the PDP had 525,299 votes, and it was followed up by the APC candidate that had 481,370 votes, and they ran a keenly contested election. And the far-reaching implication is that the texture after the election was a predominant PDP-dominated House of Assembly, PDP-dominated National Assembly. Now, with the verdicts that we've been seeing from the tribunal, as Celestina said, this is the final bus stop for those. They've got it to the final bus stop. The appellate court is the final bus stop for those in the State House of Assembly and the National Assembly, just the tribunal and the Court of Appeal. And from those verdicts has effectively changed the texture of the State House of Assembly in Plateau States. So we have a situation whereby there might be balance of power, or the All Progressive Congress might have an edge over the People's Democratic Party in that State House of Assembly at the end of this whole exercise. Now, the governorship is the only one that terminates at the Supreme Court. And what we have in the next 60 days, we know where we are going to. The National Assembly members have been told to vacate their seats. Most of the House of Representative members, there's no time after the tribunal and everything. So the implication is that we might be seeing something that is color red changing to the All Progressive Congress, dominated State House of Assembly and National Assembly.
And if eventually, for instance, maybe they appeal this and somehow Governor Mutfwang, is able to maintain his seat, that might also mean something for his administration, because if the State House of Assembly is dominated by members of the opposition party...
Interesting times ahead. He's going to have it so tough throughout his administration. Really? Because if you have a State House of Assembly that is dominated by the opposition, that's the implication. You might have it so tough. It might not be that easy to have your bills passed, to have your budget passed, as that it's the way when you had the majority in the State House of Assembly. So far-reaching implication, Bosse.
Absolutely. Let's get back to Celestina. Celestina, are we able to get anything from the legal representatives of the different parties, to this matter?
Well, Ambassador, if you can hear me, it's expected the APC, they're in high spirits. Yes, they've been hopeful since the issue came from the tribunal. But the PDP, they're very more or less silent as it is now, because they decided their thoughts and speak to their clients, which is the governor. I know his last move. We'll assume or presume that he will be appealing the judgment at the Supreme Court. But for now, they are just keeping it on a very low level. They haven't said anything. But we know the APC has released a press statement that the national chairman of the APC calling for calm and also appreciating the APC supporters while advising the PDP to accept defeat.
Well, the APC is telling its loyalists in Plateau State to celebrate with modesty and decorum.
There's nothing to celebrate yet. The status quo is that the governor of Plateau State is Governor Manasseh Mutfwang. So maybe they will postpone their celebration till the Supreme Court rule. I don't see... I
think Phenom Joshua sent in a report a while ago about some people already taken to the streets.
I don't see any basis for celebration. It is after the Supreme Court that will be the final bus stop. Anything can happen with the Supreme Court. So there's nothing to celebrate yet.
And the COP keeps saying it's not a Father Christmas. It is whatever evidence is brought before it that it would adjudicate on.
Absolutely. So it's going to be premature if any of the parties takes to the street to celebrate.
Yes.
So we just keep our finger crossed and wait for the Supreme Court.
Well, all eyes will then be on the Supreme Court for how this matter would pan out in the days ahead. Senior political correspondent Ayodele Zubakun, it's been a pleasure having you with me in the studio today.
Always my pleasure.
And Celestina Area, judiciary correspondent in Abuja. Thanks a lot, Tina.